How good was JJ McCarthy's performance on Sunday night? We know the results were bad, but we're talking about the process. We're going to talk about that on this week's X's and SKOLs, along with a run defense in peril because they did it to themselves. Welcome to the show.
X's and SKOLs with Tyler Forness and Luke Braun. Dissecting the All-22 for your Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second episode of X's and SKOLs, and the first one on the YouTube channel. I am Tyler Forness. Producer Dave is in the background doing producer Dave things, and to my left, you know him from Locked On Vikings and all the cool publications on the internet. He's Luke Braun. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm in a half-finished studio, ready to talk some really disappointing football. Let's do it.
Oh, there was some really disappointing. There was definitely some disappointing football. I think the lead topic is obviously JJ McCarthy, and
sure.
One of the big things with McCarthy, when I was kind of going through the tape, I found myself feeling more positive after looking at the All-22 than I was having watched it live. And I think one of the big things for me is mentally, he seems way more put together than he would have, or than you would have thought just by watching the game. Did you kind of come to the same conclusion?
I definitely, yeah. I think I know what you're getting at, and I'll try to be more specific, which is his actually like going through the reads and knowing who to throw to. He seemed really, really comfortable with once you got to that post-snap part. He didn't seem very comfortable dealing with pressure, which there was a lot of it. And sometimes that's not his fault. Sometimes it is. But I think the actual, like, if you just watch his eyes going from like read to read to read to read, that felt like it was timed out the way you would want it to, which is really nice. And kind of, I feel like is the whole thing bearing out of like, okay, he had a whole year of just mental reps, and that's where that would bear fruit. It would not bear fruit in the pocket under pressure, where you've been taking pressure for an entire game. And that was kind of my biggest takeaway from the game is like McCarthy started out the game polished enough, doing the things he was supposed to be doing, and the offense was failing for reasons I don't think were his fault. And then as the game went on and the pressure started to mount over and over and over and over, then he just kind of fell apart. And then he started making really bad rookie decisions, like young guy decisions, bailing on clean pockets, forcing balls downfield he shouldn't be forcing, and kind of trying to chase the issue. And you're down 22-6 in the fourth quarter, so some of that's warranted. But it felt like the pressure got in his head and made him rush everything. And I think that's the learning experience that you cannot get outside of a regular season football game. You cannot get, but people are still being like, they should have played him in the preseason. 20 reps of the preseason, which is all he would have gotten, is not going to get you there. That is the fourth quarter of a real game. Unless you want him playing an entire game with Justin School, Michael Juergens, and Henry Bird in front of him. You want to do that to your rookie, go ahead. But that feels like a pretty quick way to get fired.
Yeah, it feels like a really good way to get fired. One thing that I kind of noticed just with some of the mental processing stuff is I didn't notice nearly as much of the, hey, I'm just going to kind of bail clean pockets. I noticed him not really sensing pressure as well as he probably should have. And I think one of the reasons why is pressure shouldn't have come when it did, because I think there were some blown protection calls. And obviously you have Justin School and you have Michael Juergens. And Juergens is probably the one calling those because you don't want to put that on a rookie quarterback. But the one that really stood out to me, and you and I talked about this, was the one that ended up in the strip sack. And it seemed like that was on Brian O'Neill. Walk us through that, because I think that one in itself is fascinating.
Same conclusion as me with that? Because I'm not 100% sure that I'm right.
So I did. And
okay,
one of the reasons why, like, just kind of you talking about it was you had the simulated pressure from Caden Ellis, number 55 on the right. And then you had Zach Harrison lined up way on a wide 9. I think where the miscommunication comes in is you have O'Neill, who's watching 55 trigger, and then he doesn't kick out enough. But I think what ends up happening is Jones was supposed to take the guy, And then because 55 ended up dropping and instead of going hot, and I think that might have been where the miscommunication was to where
maybe I don't know
if
what, because
both
sometimes it's check flat, sometimes it's just flat, and I don't know what the play call is for the running back. So what I mean by that is like sometimes the running back is just running to the flat. That's the route. That's where you're supposed to be in the route concept. Go to the flat. Sometimes it's check flat, where you check the protection and you see if there's a problem, then you go flat. So I would like if there was truth serum in Ty Dunn's expose about this that comes out in 2 years about this regime, I wouldn't be shocked to see to learn later that Aaron Jones was supposed to help with this protection, and that's why Brian O'Neill didn't block the guy. But even in that case, so this is the situation, right? You are in what I believe to be a 5-0 protection. That means you are man-to-man. There are 7 possible pass rushers. You're in an empty protection if Aaron Jones isn't part of it, or a 6-man protection if he is, but I believe he's doing at most check flat because he runs a route. So we'll call it 5-man protection versus 7 threats, right? So you got 2 guys that you cannot account for, which means you start to you have to start sorting out most dangerous man, MDM. Who has the quickest path to the quarterback? There are different philosophies of how to do this, but in the vast majority of cases, I'm sure some weird high schools do it different, but in the vast majority of cases, the bigs handle the bigs. You have to handle anybody with their hand in the dirt is a big in the box. Somebody and 96, I forget his name. It's Zach Harrison, I think.
Zach Harrison,
was in a 4-point stand, 2 hands in the dirt. This is why I was crashing out on the Viking squad show saying he was number 96. You have to take that guy. The O-line has to be responsible for that guy. And to the point where like Brian Flores takes advantage of that rule all the time by having guys in the dirt then back off because the O-line has to, by their own rules, handle the bigs. So you put a guy in the dirt, you are guaranteed that the O-line is going to spend some protection resource on that guy. And then if he backs out, maybe you can get him to waste a tackle or something. But for our case, you have to start making these decisions, right? So that's why I think even if the running back is involved, O'Neill should take the big so that the running back is taking the linebacker, if that's the way we're going to sort this out. And then if the linebacker doesn't come, then you're happy. But I don't know if Aaron Jones checked. I kind of want to go like open it up and look back at that play again because like I didn't see his eyes like check the protection at all. I think it just went right out, which maybe he just blew it because that was in the play call, but he did the wrong thing because the play call was said wrong. It happened in other places that the play call was clearly not communicated correctly, so that wouldn't shock me. But I think what you end up with is a situation where Brian O'Neill is choosing between a defensive lineman and a linebacker. The linebacker is to the inside, and in these sort of sorted out situations, you do want to go inside to out. So do you take the big on the outside or the blitzer on the inside? My understanding is usually you take the big on the outside and inside out is more of a rule of thumb. But he goes inside. His eyes snap to 55, who's giving you a jab step, giving you a blitz demeanor right away, and then backs off into coverage. And his eyes never snap to that defensive end. Nobody looks at the defensive end. Aaron Jones doesn't look at him. Brian O'Neill doesn't look at him. JJ McCarthy doesn't look at him. We just forgot that dude was on the field. And he gets a free shot at the quarterback. That can never, ever, ever happen. I can still blame McCarthy a little bit. You got to hold on to the ball. You got to see that coming. Protect your body. You can't just be surprised by an unblocked person. Like you have to have some awareness. But somebody was supposed to at least try to block that guy. I would guarantee that that's not how the Vikings wanted to do it. Let that guy be unblocked and like throw to the flat hot or something like that. I guarantee you that is not what they wanted.
It's so interesting because one of the tough parts about our job, kind of trying to look at this, is you're right. We don't know the protection calls. We don't know what the exact play call was, but trying to decipher out who's responsible. And to me, it's weird that O'Neill wouldn't just try to kick out the 96 Zach Harrison, just for the sole fact that even if you talk about all these protection rules, which there are a multitude of them, and you can talk about the inside out stuff, Harrison's just that much bigger. And to me, and you maybe can answer this for reasons that because you would know better than me, why wouldn't you maybe call that protection so O'Neill kicks out and takes Harrison, and then Jones takes the blitzing linebacker in the B gap? Because Harrison's significantly bigger and longer than Ellis is.
That's what I think the play call was. And I think somebody screwed it up. But put it this way. So let's say you are Brian O'Neill. The protection call, everybody else in the protection played 5-0. 5-0 means man-to-man protection. You just take a guy, and a big takes a big, and you prioritize it that way. Everybody else did it that way and did it properly, including Juergens and Walter Rouse, I think, was on the field by then. Or if not, it was SKOL, whoever the left tackle was. So I do think the call was 5-0, but if I don't know what their word for that is, and I don't know what their word for a full slide protection is. So let's say that it was a full slide. This is a really uncommon protection to see at the pro level. It's way more common at the lower levels because it's simple and it's easy to teach, but it's pretty exploitable where a full slide, like a full slide to the left, is everybody blocks the guy to their left, and the rightmost defender is going to be either unblocked. We're going to read option him. We've got a running back blocking him or something like that. So a full slide in the NFL means you're going to have an Aaron Jones on a big D end. You kind of never want to do that. But in high school, where everybody's a little bit, where the differences between one guy and the next positionally, like everybody's a teenager, so it's a little bit more even. You get away with it more and it's easy to teach. So you see it more in like the lower levels. They'll have it because sometimes you want a full slide. If you catch a tell that you know that D end is backing off. Maybe you do a full slide. Now suddenly everybody's got a really easy assignment. They're all just covering one gap, block the guy to your left, and you're in a great spot. So you'll have it installed. You'll have a word for it. You'll be able to call it and adjust to it if you want, but you'll see it very rarely. So what if Brian O'Neill heard the word for full slide and he thought he was doing full slide? He went, well, weird call, but it's not for me to question, and thought he was doing a full. That's the kind of, I don't know full slide specifically, but what if he just heard a different word in the huddle that he wasn't supposed to hear and he did the wrong thing? Or was he making a most dangerous man call and he just made a decision that I don't really agree with? Either one would not surprise me, or there could be some nuance to this that I just totally don't know because I'm just a podcaster.
Are these calls like used with L&R words like Leslie or Roger to kind of signal? And then, okay. It's so interesting that, well, one, you never want to see this kind of, I'm just going to call it a bust because it looks like a bust even with the simulated
It's a protection
pressure.
bust for sure. Yes. Trying to diagnose it is hard because we have to guess what the play call was supposed to be. But yeah, in like a typical NFL playbook, your protections will be, Roy and Lou will be a right side 4-man slide and a left side 4-man slide. And then, Roger and Leslie will be right side full slide and left side full slide. So it could very well be too that like somebody just got a word mixed up and was like, oh no, it was Lester, not Leslie. Oh, okay. And like that could be literally all it comes down to.
Football, man. I love this stuff. I think
it's stupid sometimes. That happened to Johnny Munt very famously in I think 23.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Good old Johnny Munt. We should probably keep this moving along because we got a bunch to talk about. But
like 15 minutes on one play. Sorry,
that's okay. Dude. Good is good. I think one of the big things, obviously we have the pass protection issues with McCarthy and the play calling. To me, it has been rough as far as trying to help him. Like Alec Lewis had it in there, and I don't know how he quantified it. He didn't really elaborate on that, but only 3 quick game concepts. As far as how that's quantified, I'm not sure, but that's second to last in the NFL.
Drops.
Yeah. And they opened the game with a quick game concept, little 2-step drop, little speed out to Jalen Naylor, and the footwork was just disgustingly clunky, and he still has that back leg whip. From a mechanical spot, you've been all over that back leg and how it really impacts him. Are we going to see this improve at all throughout the year, or are we still going to see a lot of elements of it? Yeah, that's kind of what that was my
This is not the time of year to work on QB mechanics. You are preparing for a team every time. Or in this case, now he's rehabbing an injury again. But you are not, once you get to a certain point in the off season, it's time to start working your concepts, working your timings. There's so much more higher priority stuff that now has to be like figured out. You can't sit there and be like dialing in mechanics during individual drills. You are working on other stuff. So at a certain point, the mechanics are where they are, and you have to say, okay, we're just going to kind of put up with that for this year. And then next year, probably on his own time with a trainer he selects, He'll sit there with his trainer and he'll throw a million go balls to Justin Jefferson and hopefully work on it. If you look at other QBs who came into the league with suspect mechanics, Jordan Love, Josh Allen, guys that had to work on it. And those guys had way worse mechanics than what McCarthy has coming in. McCarthy has a hitch in his giddy up that causes some inaccuracy. I've talked about it quite a lot, and maybe that has made me overrate its importance. But it's a singular thing that will cause inaccuracy, is a problem. You want to solve it, but it's not like he's totally broken and he can't throw a football at all. That's where like Josh Allen was coming out in 2018, or where Jordan Love was for the years that the Packers couldn't play him. That was like unplay. And every single year the mechanics come back. If you watch Josh Allen throw a football now and then go watch him throw a football in his rookie year, holy moly, it's different. But you need a whole offseason to make progress on that. You can't start doing that in the middle of the week when you're trying to figure out what their blitz packages are and how to read them.
Yeah, it's tough because one of the nice parts is you do see flashes of brilliant mechanics where he has everything put together. And that strike to Justin Jefferson was just perfect. Not only did you have a really nice pocket, but he dropped back, couple hitches, waited for the route to develop, and then crisp ball, accurate, great placement, and that foot stayed on the ground. And you got to see all the elements. So it's not like we're talking about asking him to do something that he's not doing. It's just not a consistent thing. It's like remembering to take the trash out at home. You don't always remember to do it, but you know how. And I think that's a really, really nice element. The other thing I want to talk about with McCarthy.
Someone got in trouble this weekend for not taking the trash out, I sense.
No, I'm actually the only one who takes the trash out. My wife calls it a boy job, and she's not wrong. But
totally exonerated.
There is something with the play calling with Kevin O'Connell. And I think there's two layers I want to attack this. One, it doesn't feel to me like he's doing enough adjusting for his quarterback from both a mental and a within the play standpoint to try and make things easy for him. And two, I think there needs to be a conversation about where JJ McCarthy is athletically, because I think he's way more capable than what he's being given. But I do think that there's this level to where he's not this uber athlete, and you don't want to be calling a lot of run game stuff for him. Like, where are you on this whole conversation about being able to make things easier for him by being able to push those easy buttons with either a run, quick game, like those kind of stuff?
Are you talking like read option?
I'm talking like anything like bootlegs read option, like QB draw even. I don't want to run QB power with him. He's not that kind of guy. But you can do like a little speed draw, and they haven't really tried to push any of those easy buttons as of yet.
Yeah. This is what Kevin O'Connell has always been, right? He's always hunting these explosives. I think there's a quasi to it too. I think there's like an analytics vibe, right? And so as they work together on how they're doing all this, I think it's okay. The analytics-y thing is go get explosive plays. And I think they're trying to really, really hunt that. And it makes things forgiving, right? You hit one explosive play, a really nice strike to Adam Thielen. You get out of the 3rd and 18 that the last two failures brought you. So I get it, but that's kind of what they're always doing. And yeah, I think I'm with just about everybody, which is, yeah, man, call a little stick, call something easy, call something really just like basic. And it's only going to get 4 yards, and it's going to be covered up, and it's not going to be the hardest thing in the world to defend. But I know it's in your playbook. I know it's in everybody's playbook. I know you can call it. Deploy that and try to get yourself a nice, easy 4 or 5 yards on first down, make things happen. What's nice is they've run the ball pretty well, especially with Jordan Mason. So that can be your easy button that gets you your nice, easy 5 yards on first down without even asking. And then when McCarthy's got the ball, you're going for shot plays. But something is super broken with the way that they do dial up those shot plays and the dropbacks that they are pairing with that, where McCarthy is reaching the top of his drop way before the routes break off, or I should say, because sometimes McCarthy throws before the routes break off like you want him to, but before the throw is supposed to be made. And so he's at the top of his drop in a vulnerable position waiting. That can't happen. And I also think to me, that was the thing that absolved JJ McCarthy the most. On TV, it looked like he was holding the ball forever. Once you see the tape, you're like, I don't know what I want him to throw yet right now. And I remember having the exact same thoughts about Sam Darnold all year too. I think this is just a thing in Kevin O'Connell's offense that doesn't quite add up very well. And I think it really, really hangs the O-line out to dry. Somebody like Justin SKOL still getting beat all the time, but like you're not making his job any easier, man. Like that's a guy who also needs a little bit of help.
I think one thing that kind of exemplifies that point on SKOL is, what was he like, number one in pass block win rate per ESPN, which calculates it just in the first 2.5 seconds. Like,
oh
that
Jesus,
to
well
me,
that's useless.
yeah. I think I don't love pass block win rate as a whole, but I do like it in
Yeah, I hate
some
those win rate stats.
I like it. I like to pair it with other things, because if a guy is losing consistently, but it takes 4 seconds, then you need to realize, okay, hey, I can trust this guy for 3. Let's get it out in 3, because that's what I have to work with. And it just feels to me, and you mentioned it too, KOC's like, this is what I have. This is my playbook. And we'll tweak a little bit here and there. We'll pull a little bit out because you don't like it. We'll put this in because you do. But there's not a ton of adjusting. And like, they didn't even do a lot of QB run stuff when Dobbs was in. But that's also a different story, because you don't have an offseason to really input that stuff. Almost everybody in this league can run a basic ass read option play. They've all done it at the high school.
They scored
level.
a touchdown on it in the first week.
Yeah.
They have it in the book. Yeah.
But where are these play action bootlegs? I think they've only called play action, what was it that we talked about it before the show, like 33% of the time. That we're not seeing the play action bootlegs that they always ran for Kirk Cousins. They ran them for Darnold. Why aren't we doing a little bit of that, getting him on the move? Like, I don't think he's this uber athlete where you want to call a lot of run game stuff, but you can get him just on the perimeter and make it easier so he doesn't have to deal with pressure. It keeps the defense guessing a little bit. Where is that in this playbook?
Yeah, so a third of the time running play action is top 10 in the league. That is a lot of play action. So there has been a lot, but for the Vikings, a lot of those are in their play pass book. So this is another Shanahan McVay thing I'm going to go super deep on. Sorry, I'm wasting all your time. But there's a difference between play pass and movement. Play pass is straight drop back with play action with a fake run in there. Movement is your rollouts, keeper, bootleg, whatever you want to call it. Those are the ones you usually think about when you think play action. And the Vikings have done a lot more of that play pass stuff, because play pass is usually play action, get the linebackers to suck up, and then throw 20 yards over their head, go get a chunk. This is what Kevin O'Connell's hunting constantly. And I think the book is out on how they do that, and defenses know, and they're able to either cover things up or able to send a blitz and punish the Vikings for as long as that takes to develop and cause havoc, and the offense falls apart. But so I think I agree with you that I would want to go to the other page, the other chapter of the play action playbook, which is the movement a little bit more. That's a little bit basic though. That's the thing about movement. I love rollouts, and I think getting your quarterback on the move is a great way to get easy stuff. I think it can be a nice replacement for quick game. If you don't want to have your quarterback be the kind of guy that's got to be one step, drop and throw stick and get 3 yards all the time, a nice, easy completion for a responsible gain on movement can sort of be the same thing for you. It's nice and reliable, but it also is kind of the same play every time. You're always just running some level of a 3-level flood concept, some version of that. Maybe there's a second guy in underneath and you call it a delay. Maybe it's a corner route, or instead of a go route, maybe there's leak once. Like, there's little subversions you can have. So they have 7 different things in the book about it. But at its core, if you are going to fake outside zone, the defense can flood the coverage, get somebody for deep, middle, and underneath, and shut down 99% of those concepts. So you can't make the whole book out of it. There's got to be a balance. I think the Vikings are too low on that balance. I agree with the very popular opinion they should run it more, but don't overdo that, because it's really easy to defend when it's something you do too much.
I agree. I recall a game. This would have been T-Jack. It might have been 2008 when they played the Colts. I think I think it might have been Bill Musgrave at the time. They called that same play about 15 times and it didn't work, and they lost 18-15. And I think that's a great example of what you're talking about. You don't want to use it too much, but I think you can use it a couple more times and get away with it, or use it a few more times. And then that throwback screen they ran a couple times in 23, where you have Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison on the other side, and then you have a wall out in front. You can do some of that.
You want to get
try
real
and have a counter.
So week 1, you remember the play that could have been a touchdown to Naylor, but it got batted down?
Yes.
JJ's mechanics on that make me think that maybe they don't like this as much because they don't like him throwing on the move to his left. Because so in camp, we like lost our minds about this when we saw in camp McCarthy doing that like kick his leg out, throw on the run, really fast motion, which he wasn't doing in Michigan. He would have to. There's kind of two ways to do this when you're throwing on the run. You can do what like Kirk Cousins always did. And he was fantastic at this, which is you realign your shoulders, recock them, and then throw basically a normal pass. You're just moving with your legs while you do it, but it's long and it's a big tell. If you cock your shoulders, every defender knows the ball's about to come. So it's a bit of a tell. Cousins was so good at it that he could kind of still punish that and find tight windows through that. But McCarthy did that and it was really, really, really slow. So that defender knew exactly when he had to get his hand up and he was able to bat it down. I wonder if they look at that and they go, okay, this is way too easy to defend and they don't like it very much. And they got to, for whatever reason, he is cocking his shoulders again. He's not doing that like the way he did in camp. So maybe they tried it. They liked enough of it to try it a little bit, but maybe it's still too much of a work in progress.
That would make some sense. I just want to see a little bit more creativity, a little bit more different, and a little bit of just, even if it's stick or curl flat or slant, just give your quarterback some easy quick hitters and then you can go chase some of that stuff. Because the way I figure it, if you're not even trying those quick hitters, why in the world should they guard them? They're just going to sit in a too high shell and just wait for you to try to attack him deep. So I think there's a balance, and I think Kevin O'Connell is smart enough to achieve that balance. I'm just wondering if, and I'm teetering on it here because there's always a borderline between confidence and arrogance. And obviously Kevin O'Connell has a lot of confidence in what this offense can be. He's shown it over the course of a multitude of backups. But is there creeping to be a little bit too much arrogance that I know that this scheme can work and not enough adjusting?
Yeah, or arrogance in his players. No, he can do it. He can do it. You know who else that took down? Ed Donatel. Ed Donatel was like, no, we're going to get it. Trust me. He would get on the podium every single time after the defense got shredded and say, yeah, trust me, we're going to figure it out. It's just going to take some time. We're getting it. We're getting better. Trust me, it's going to work out. Even up till the last game. And he says, you're going to love the way we're going to play in the playoff game. But he trusted the players to a fault rather than saying, okay, this guy cannot make this play. Eric Kendricks can't do this anymore. We cannot ask this of Harrison Smith. This is not what he's good at. And never did, he never blitzed Harrison Smith. And it's like, at a certain point, you got to realize that you're asking a player to do something that's not what they're best at. And when it for JJ, that might be, this is the theory that I've had, giving him, big giant play calls, can do another big giant play call in the huddle. He can't do that right now. Stuff's getting messed up. It's taking forever. They're getting up against the play clock. They're miscommunicating. You have to realize he can't do that right now. But now he's got Carson Wentz, who probably can do that in, what is this, year 8 or whatever. So you might be able to get a little bit more proof of concept and even use this 3 weeks, maybe before of Carson Wentz to get sort of stress test for what the rest of your offense can actually execute and get right when you don't have an inexperienced quarterback kind of screwing you up in the huddle.
Yeah. A lot of really good stuff, but we only have around 10 minutes left. We should probably shift to the defense. And I just say I'd open up with this.
We have to.
Who is at fault for the Vikings run defense being bad? I can't put my finger on it.
There's a couple answers here. It's funny. I got in a big fight with Arif on the squad show about if the defense had a bad day or not. And I think the answer that I've come with is the run defense was terrible. The coverage was fine, which I can't call that a good day, man. Half your thing was bad and they moved the ball really well. But to answer your question, the big two for me are Javon Hargrave and Eric Wilson. Hargrave, he just got destroyed. Just physically destroyed. There is nothing to break down about it other than the dude got moved 3-4 yards downfield every single time versus doubles, versus singles, versus drive blocks, versus reach blocks. He just got killed. Eric Wilson, I think he just kind of bit on a lot of Bijan Robinson head fakes and ended up out of his gap. Ivan Pace is the other one that is getting a lot of flack. I feel a little more defensive of him because I thought that he did a great job of getting in the backfield and causing chaos. And it's just that it was too much of an open field back there because Javon Hargrave is 5 yards downfield. That should be able to turn into a disruption in most cases, but now his opportunity is kind of ruined because Eric Wilson's out of his gap and suddenly there's an escape hatch, and now Ivan Pace is just diving and trying to get a hand on his ankle, and it turns into a nasty looking missed tackle. And then he's the guy that gets all the attention, even though 3 other players got their ass kicked on the play.
So where are you at with a guy like Ivan Pace? Because I do think he did a really good job of disrupting, but in this sense, in what this game was, that disruption really didn't amount to anything. I really felt like they missed Blake Cashman, because you might have said it on the squad show earlier that Wilson,
Eric
Wilson couldn't clean up
for John Robinson.
No, and you know what? Nobody is.
He not built for this.
Grenard, he cooked Turner. I have never seen a running back with this kind of movement skills since Barry Sanders. He has got special feet and the ability to just make you look stupid. And I don't think this is going to be necessarily a factor when you play Chase Brown, but I gotta wonder with a guy like Pace and what he's really good at, if it's conducive to a lot of success right now with where this run defense is.
I mean, the guy getting penetration is not the problem. Yeah. And maybe you want somebody to play a little more conservative, and I kind of get that. I think the path to success is probably not by taking out the only guy on a lot of these plays that's actually winning his rep. I think he's just getting on TV more. He's in the frame, so he's getting more attention. I think it's like Occam's razor. I think it's just that there's a backup linebacker in, and the running back dusted him. The real concern I have, though, is how much Hargrave got cooked. That's one that, like, with Eric Wilson, we can go, okay, but everybody's not Bijan. We can kind of like wave it away. Mm-hmm. With Hargrave, I mean, you're getting sledded by everybody on that interior. We saw it happen last year too. That guy just can't be a nose tackle, and we've got him at nose tackle. Like,
why is he? There's my other question. Why is he playing nose, and why is Jonathan Allen playing nose on these?
So they could get a 6th rounder next year, Tyler.
No, and you know what? The Harrison Phillips trade aside, because it was wild when it happened. I understand that cap math plays into it, but why aren't you just playing Jalen Redmond there when he's a more stout defender, even if he's not a perfect nose?
So I don't know if Redmond is even that much more stout. We've seen that happen to him too. I don't think he's bigger, like physically, but also
he's like 310.
Like the best stuff is he really? I feel like I did.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'll look it up quick.
Yeah, look it up, because I feel like I remember seeing 295, but like he's made a lot of good moments for himself, beating guards one-on-one and kind of doing it the same way Hargrave does it. I think what the Vikings need to do is find a way to load the box and flatten things out and split up doubles. Mm-hmm. The problem is, if you put another guy in the box, the offense has been responding by condensing the formation, putting another tight end or a fullback out there. And so you're getting into these games where it's 13 personnel versus heavy defense. And it's like suddenly you find yourself with the smallest D-line going, wait, how come we just got into like a goal line formation? Oh God, this is not who we want to be at all. So it's kind of tough. I think teams that like to spread it out more and be, 11 personnel and all that stuff, and the Bengals are one of these, like, don't have as good of an opportunity to play into this specific weakness, and they're going to kind of like take things another way. But like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if there's a great answer to this, to Zero Tech. They kind of traded him away, and they're just getting like giga punished for it.
But you know what? There were guys in the draft available. My boy Jamari Caldwell. He didn't make.
He's cooking
too. Oh, he's so good. I tried to tell
you. Were so right.
Hey, I'm right every so often. By the way, Redmond's listed 6'3", 305, and Hargrave is listed at, I think, 307. Yeah, he's listed at 307. Allen is listed at 300 flat. So yeah, they're.
I think all of them are lies. I don't buy a single one of those numbers.
I don't know. Hargrave's he's got that athletic spare tire, so maybe 307. Last year he looked a lot slimmer. I think they asked him to beef up a little bit, because remember, he came into the league he weighed in the combine at 315. So he's just a bigger dude by default, but that's not transitioning to having sand in the pants, and that's frustration. We only got a few more minutes left, Luke. I think we got to spend a minute talking about coverage. It's not phenomenal, but it's been plenty tolerable considering that the pass rush has been pretty solid in creating havoc. And they've been creating pressure and then forcing the quarterback to either bail or get the ball out quickly. I think this is the big test. If you can slow down this Bengals team with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, then I think we can feel comfortable enough with this coverage for this year before what I assume is going to happen in this offseason, a full revamp.
I hope so, because it's not coming costlessly. Yes, the pass defense did well. There are a couple times where there was an open guy and Penix just missed it, even in clean pockets. So like some of this is felt gilded both of these weeks. It's felt like there were lots of opportunities and these QBs just are young and not doing great. But it's been certainly not the chief problem on defense. I wouldn't say that. The chief problem's been up front. And some of the production has been up front. It's just that the game is kind of getting decided more there, which is what Flores wants. He wants to be decided. Did the blitz get home? If so, yes. If no, then we're in trouble, and that's just going to be the way we live. But they are hiding the corners. They're playing squad all the time. They're playing palms all the time. They're giving them mod. They're giving them zones. They are still hiding the corners. They will always be hiding the corners until they get serious corners. This has been the crux of my whole thing. And that's the reality now, is that we just live in a truncated world where they just like, if you are getting a zone picked apart by a veteran quarterback, you can't switch to man because you don't have the dudes to trust for that. You can't switch to three. You have to just kind of keep doing middle field open and dying to posts. It's just going to be that way all year. And what it looks like is this, where like there are some games where Michael Penix ain't doing that. That's not what they were asking Penix to do. And it's certainly not what Caleb Williams was going to do. So it looks okay because they're not punishing it. But when they hit Goff, when they hit Jordan Love, those guys are going to dice it. It's going to happen. They know how to beat a blitz. So you're going to have to come up with something or ask more of these corners, and then we'll find out if they're really up to the task. But I'm not giving you a ton of credit for a game where one side of the defense got absolutely shreked and the other side of the defense benefited from inaccurate quarterbacking and generally is just like getting carried by other guys on the team. I'm not giving you any lollipops for that.
And that's why I'm in a spot where I'm just like, fine, but I need more. And we'll kind of see from there. But Luke, thank you very much. Another fun time. We'll be back next week. What do you have going that the people need to go check out?
Patreon.com/Luke Braun NFL. I've already got 3 videos out. Their topics are, if you liked that O-line breakdown at the beginning, there is a video of only that, all the protection breakdowns, what happened, a run defense breakdown. That's kind of the same thing. Here are all the explosives. Whose fault was it? You see the Hargrave stuff. You see the Wilson stuff. You do see when Ivan Pace is like in the wrong spot or whatever. Some talk about Dallas Turner in there too, if you're interested. And then one on JJ McCarthy. That's okay. Are we cooked? Is it over? Is he dead? Is he a bust? Of course not. It's much more complicated and you need more reason than that. But that's where we're that's the topic of that video, is just looking at the game, trying to say, okay, how worried are we about how bad that game went and what's his fault or not.
And my favorite part about all your videos is they're built for all skill levels. So if you feel a little intimidated by the all-22, you can go watch Luke and you'll catch on pretty quickly. And if you're really smart, you'll enjoy yourself too.
Luke, my mom watches everything that I do, and she's not a football background person at all. So I'm always a little bit making the video for my mom.
Yeah. And that's perfect. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week. And Real Forno Show, 6:05 Central Time tonight. Yeah, I'll be back. I'm a sicko degenerate. We're going to have some fun. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, producer Dave in the background. For Luke, myself, SKOL Vikings.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and share this episode with your friends and even your enemies. We'd love it. Thanks for watching Vikings First and SKOL. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and we appreciate each and every one of you. SKOL.